Good stuff with this truck. All I need is a little blade on the front. I'll be mowing the lawn. So what we got going on right now is there's a lot of progress to be made on the slam box, my 1968 Ford F350 that I have on the chassis, motor, transmission, wheels, everything is on a Lincoln Town Car platform. So I have a lot of work to be done on that. What I would like to do and what's logically next for this build process is I need to finish up putting on the utility service bed on the back. But I have one side completely done, but the other side I'm waiting on a trailer fender that I'm going to be using as my wheel tub, and that's a few days out here. So I have a lot of progress done on that, but I'm waiting on parts. And then also what else I have that I could do, I got shocks for the front of this truck. Now in order for me to put shocks in the front, I needed to get some custom brackets cut out of a plasma table. I made my design, I got that over to the fab shop that I work with on some of these things, and I'm waiting on them to cut it. So I have two directions that I could and that I would like to go down with this truck, but unfortunately right now I am waiting on parts for both of those. So let's just hit the intro and then I'll get into what we're going to be doing in this video. It's about to start raining. Let me pull the truck in the shop.
And now, you're watching the Ham Flour Leather Bagel Chocolate Star Fish channel of YouTube. Welcome to BodeVision.
Hey, so what is up and welcome, and thank you so much for joining me yet again on another video. Now as you can see from this shot, I usually don't have this behind me. Now for the longest time, you may or may not have noticed, but I would always not shoot this side of the house, this area, because quite frankly I was embarrassed of how it looked. The paint didn't look good. It was just a sandy, rocky, nasty mud fest over there, and a lot of you guys had mentioned that you saw the deck in the last few months, but we couldn't do the deck until the house was painted, and there was also some work that we had to do on the inside of the house. So in the last couple of months I've been sitting on a lot of footage. I knew I wanted to put a video together showing you a bunch of home progress. Get him, girl. Anyways, it is starting to rain, so in the last few months I've been sitting on some footage because I wanted to put this video together to show you everything that I've had going on in nice one digestible video for home projects and whatnot. Since I don't usually do this stuff, I wanted to put it all together. So the first thing that we are going to start off with is the inside of the house. We had the tiles buckle, and I read and I talked to a few people, and they were saying with some of the changing of the temperature, because it was so cold at night at the time and so hot during the day, these tiles just buckled. Man, so before we go ahead and replace this floor, I wanted to show you why we did not have a choice. If you could see, that floor was buckled, so one day we just said we're gonna have to rip it out. But before we rip it out, it's mandatory to have a little skate sesh. And once we got started, you could see how really the floor was not intact, not installed properly at all. So we just went ahead, got it all ripped up. We wanted to protect some of this stuff, and this was the last job my truck did for me, was bringing this tile to the dump. So here we go, we are getting started with those LVP luxury vinyl planks. This flooring is pretty weird because it just floats on the floor below, and as you can see, everything below ended up being pretty smooth. It's just an old school 60s terrazzo floor, as this house was built in 1960, so it only makes sense for that to have been there. And that actually helped us out because we did not have to resurface or do any kind of prep work on the slab besides scraping off a little bit of thin set. But besides that, man, we were good to go. So we got quick to work laying out this tongue and groove LVP, starting from one corner and just working our way down, having to make sure that we're not having a super consistent pattern, and also keeping in mind we wanted all of the joints to be a little bit randomized, making sure not one of them was too close to another, and also we didn't want it to be too much of a pattern. So we got in there, set up our pieces, decided where we wanted to put which piece in which area so that way it would look good as possible, and we were pulling from 3 or 4 different boxes at a time just to make sure it stayed looking nice and random. As you could see, everybody was involved. Lola's taking a nap, Ava's running around, and this was a good time. We got it done. So that flooring laid down really nicely. Now the next thing that we really wanted to do is we wanted to get this deck put out here for the longest time. Now one of the biggest things that you might not have even thought of is, as I'm bringing in the dog, come here Lola, as I'm bringing in the dog, every day, she's running through all of this dirt. The dirt's getting in the house. In the morning, it's so wet outside and it's just a huge mess. So this deck is something that we have been wanting to do for a long time, but before we could do the deck, I had to paint the house just because I didn't want to put the deck here and then paint the house after the fact, and the house needed it anyways. So that's what we are going to get right into, getting rid of this ugly blue color and painting it to match the shop. So let's get started on painting the house. So at this point, everything was completely pressure washed and cleaned as good as we can possibly make it. We wanted to do our due diligence to make sure this paint job in fact was going to stick. Now this is just like a car for me. I understand the process of painting vehicles. I've never painted a house before, but it's pretty much the same thing, right? We were just masking everything off, making sure we're not going to get any paints on the window or windowsills, and then we are going to get right into it. So the way that I did this and the way that I was thinking about it and the entire process was, we just did this first coat of this beige color, and this is actually the color that the shop was painted when I built the shop, or when we built the shop about a year ago. We knew back then the color that we chose was going to be the color of the house eventually, because we knew we wanted to do this eventually, right? So I just went ahead, this is my first coat on there, making my way down the side, bringing myself to the back, and again, this is just the first coat, and there is a reason why I am doing one coat like this, and then the next coat is going to be all of the fascia and the drip edge and all of that stuff. That's going to be the same black trim. It's not quite a black, it's more of a peppery color, like a dark charcoal black pepper color. So I'm doing my first coat beige, and then I'm going to do my black coat, and then I'm going to finish off with my last beige coat. So I'm just working in this area. And later on in this video where I'm standing right now, there's going to be a lot of progress made because I'm going to be putting a deck there. I wanted a deck there, or we wanted a deck there for a long time rather, but just through the process of building things and how we had to do it, so I just had to get this knocked out before we could focus on the actual deck itself. So now that that first coat of beige is knocked out, I'm coming back with that black, the same black that I used from the shop. And the reason why I'm doing it this way is, as you can see right above that window right there, I got some black and it looks kind of ugly. But now after this black coat is done, I'm going to go back with my second and final coat of beige, and I'm going to spray it on. We might come behind with a roller, not too sure yet. If it looks like it sprays out really nicely, we might skip the roller altogether. But either way, man, get up on the ladder, spray some, move all my paint stuff, back up on the ladder. So I'm making my way around the corner. My dad's helping me move all this stuff. And this is pretty cool to do, man. I didn't have a lot of experience doing any of this type of painting before, but you know, if you can think about it and you want to save the money bad enough, you're going to figure out how to make it work. So now that that's looking pretty good, we're coming back by hand and just getting below the windows. I do really like it when houses are painted like this. You don't see such an overwhelming amount of one color on the entire wall. So painting the bottom section of that window the same color that the trim color is really does it for me. Now that the house is painted and everything's looking good, one thing that I wanted to mention, as you saw when I was spraying it out, I was kind of facing upwards as I am below it, and I didn't want to get a whole bunch of black paint all over that beige that I just did. So we came behind with a foam roller and a brush and cleaned all of this up. I didn't film any of that because it is what it is. I'm not going to film every single step. So that looks really good. I really like the black and the beige combo, and like I said a few times, it matches the shop. So now let's get into the process of how we're actually building this deck that you've been looking at for a few months now. So at this point of all of the home projects, I was going to film a lot more of this deck project, but I just wanted to get it done. It was getting crazy hot, so I didn't film as much as I would have liked, but I did take a lot of photos. So as you can see, this is just some of our framework for this deck. We have all of our deck boards. We also wanted a little bench area to sit down. We still might do a few more benches in the future. I'd maybe like to bring a sink out here, or somewhat more of a table for a grill. And then quickly after having the deck completed, I realized I wanted a step in between, or a ramp in between the two areas. And you can see with this picture of the truck that is now the slam box, I made that ramp after the fact. I didn't want to roll the garbage can up onto the deck every time without a little ramp right there. So that ramp was an afterthought, but it looks really good, man. Deck done, everything is looking solid. So as far as home projects go, that's not what I normally do. I'm not known for messing with houses, but I'm willing to mess with my own house. And if I have the mindset and the ability to make something happen, I would rather go for it myself. It might not turn out as perfect, but I'd like to just go for it. And it came out really good. So as far as the slam box, what we have next I just put these plates in here. I'm going to be building a frame structure to hold on to these bedsides because this bedside obviously is not meant to mount to this chassis, but I'm going to make it work. In the next few days, I should get that trailer fender in so that way I can finish up that box, then I can connect the two boxes together. Also, I should be getting those brackets for the shocks up front. Everything that's going to be coming, I will show you all of those steps. I usually like to just do them and show you along the way, but in our reality, that's what I got going on. I hope you like the progress that I made on the house. I'm really happy with this stuff, but I'm ready to get back on the truck in the next video. So thank you guys so much for watching. Like this video, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think about all this stuff, and I'll see you on the next one. I'm out.